Shadowed Battlegrounds presents Battle of Lexington and Concord, Dawn's Early Fight. Jacob Anderson woke up to the familiar sounds of morning in Lexington, Massachusetts. At 17, he had become accustomed to the routine of farm life. The rooster crowed as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, casting a soft glow over the fields. Jacob's father, Thomas Anderson, was already up, tending to the horses. "Morning, Father," Jacob greeted, stretching his arms. The cool morning air filled his lungs. "Morning, Jacob," Thomas replied, his eyes scanning the horizon with a thoughtful expression. "We've got a lot to do today. The crops won't wait." Jacob nodded, picking up his tools. The day seemed like any other, but an undercurrent of unease lingered in the air. Rumors had been spreading for weeks about the British troops and their intentions. As Jacob worked, his mind wandered to the tales of impending conflict. Suddenly, the sound of galloping hooves broke the tranquility. Jacob turned to see a rider approaching at full speed, dust trailing behind him. The man reined in his horse sharply, his face flushed with urgency. "Thomas, Jacob," the rider called out. "The British are marching to Concord. They're coming for our arms and ammunition." Thomas's eyes narrowed. "Martha, fetch my musket," he called out, turning to Jacob. "We need to join the militia, now." Jacob's heart raced, with a mix of fear and excitement. He had heard the stories, but now the moment was real. He followed his father into the house, where his mother, Martha, stood with a worried expression. "Be careful," she said softly, handing Thomas his musket. "We will, Martha," Thomas reassured her. "We'll do what we must." Jacob grabbed his own weapon, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He looked into his mother's eyes, seeing the fear and love she held for them. "Take care of each other," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. "We will, Mother," Jacob promised. Together, Jacob and Thomas joined the gathering militia at Lexington Green. The men, young and old, stood in a somber silence, awaiting their orders. Colonel James Barrett, a local militia leader, addressed them with a steely resolve. "Men, the time has come to defend our land," Colonel Barrett said. "We will stand our ground and show the British that we will not be intimidated." Jacob felt a surge of pride and determination. He glanced at his father, who gave him a reassuring nod. The sound of marching feet grew louder, and the British troops appeared on the horizon, their red coats stark against the green fields. "Hold your ground," Barrett commanded. The tension was palpable. Jacob's heart pounded in his chest as the British soldiers approached. The standoff was brief. Suddenly, a shot rang out, shattering the silence. No one knew who fired first, but it ignited the battle. Chaos erupted. The militia and the British exchanged fire, the air filled with smoke and the cries of men. Jacob stood beside his father, aiming and firing, the noise and confusion overwhelming. "Father, look out!" Jacob shouted as a British soldier charged towards them. Thomas swung his musket, knocking the soldier to the ground. They fought fiercely, but the militia was outnumbered and outgunned. Forced to retreat, they regrouped with renewed determination. "To Concord," Barrett ordered. "We will make our stand there." The march to Concord was filled with tension and resolve. Jacob's muscles ached, but he pushed on, driven by the desire to protect his home. They arrived at Concord to find the British already searching for arms. "Stay close, Jacob," Thomas said, his voice firm. "This is far from over." At the North Bridge, the militia confronted the British once more. The air was thick with anticipation. Colonel Barrett positioned his men strategically, ready to strike. "Wait for my command," Barrett instructed. "We will fight with everything we have." The British troops advanced, and the militia stood their ground. When the order came, they fired in unison. Jacob aimed and pulled the trigger, feeling the recoil of his musket. The battle was fierce, the noise deafening. Jacob fought alongside his father, their movements coordinated and determined. Despite their youth and inexperience, the militia's resolve was unbreakable. They pushed the British back, forcing them to retreat. "We did it, Father," Jacob said, his voice filled with awe and relief. "Yes, son," Thomas replied, pride evident in his eyes. "We stood our ground." As the British retreated towards Boston, the militia harassed them along the way, using guerrilla tactics to their advantage. Jacob reflected on the day's events, realizing that if you like this story and want to see more, click on the icon top left. If you want to help support our channel, please hit the subscribe button on the top left. If you have a good history idea, let us know in the comments. Thank you.